Today I'm going to teach you how to train your dog or puppy how to meet people calmly. That is, without jumping on them, without nipping at them, without getting too excitable and losing all semblance of sanity. Today you're going to learn those steps, so if you're interested, keep watching. What's up guys, it's Jenna with Dog Liaison, where I coach you on how to enhance your dog's mental health needs. And on this channel, we break down scientific research in order to inform and educate us on how to train dogs. So if you're interested in a nerdier approach to canine cognition and dog training, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, before I get into the tutorial of how to teach your dog to meet strangers calmly, I do want to give the disclaimer that this exercise is really meant for dogs that are not fearful or cautious of people. If you are dealing with a dog who is experiencing negative emotions or negative associations with people, then this exercise probably isn't ready for you. It's not that you can never teach your dog this exercise, it's that you probably want to start off with this video first, this activity first, and then get through that, and then once your dog is feeling a little bit better, has a better association with people, jump right back into this video. All right, let's get into it. Now, I call this game the 3-second game, and I'm going to explain why it's called that in a second, but I do want to say that this exercise is better done if your dog knows the touch cue. So I do recommend that if your dog doesn't already have a hand target where they put their nose to a palm, if your dog doesn't already have that, check out this video, and you can just hit the little button, open it in a new tab, watch that, train that, and then come back to this video. Because it's not that you can't do this if you don't know touch, it's just it'll be easier if you do. The second rule is that you want to make sure that you are teaching this in your home first, or in the backyard, in your area first, not necessarily out in public. You would not teach sit, stay in the middle of the plaza with 100 people around you. So you're not gonna teach this exercise in the middle of the plaza with 100 people in front of you. You wanna make sure that your dog learns the behavior first and then applies it to real life situations. So you probably are going to need a second person. Now, this person could be someone that they are vaguely familiar with. This could be like your neighbor, or perhaps a neighbor's friend who comes over, someone that your dog is pretty familiar with, has a positive association with. Get that memorization, that muscle memory down, not just in the dog, but also in you, and then start applying it with true through and through strangers. And then all I want you to do is, I'm gonna extend out my hand in a touch position. Okay. You're going to say touch. As soon as his nose hits my palm, you're gonna yes, and then feed him right back near you. Okay. That's all you're gonna do.
So I'm saying touch?
Yes.
Okay. Touch. Yes. Touch. Yes. Touch. Touch.
So don't worry about giving the point. We want to have him respond to the verbal.
Okay. Okay, touch. Touch. See, how I get to know he's not looking at me.
There you go.
Touch. Yes.
There you go.
Touch. Yes. Touch. Yes.
One more.
Touch. Yes.
So you want to start by having your helper person stand beside the dog, perhaps even in front of the dog. If your person is standing in front of the dog, they are not leaning forward and reaching over the dog. Actually, they're more standing away than the dog is walking to them, up to them, not necessarily that the person is hovering over. That's very scary. Next, your guest will extend out their palm and you will give the cue touch, or whatever target cue you have, to your dog, and then your dog will turn around, go to target the person's hand. Immediately, as soon as your dog's nose hits the palm, you will say yes and feed. Now, if you don't know why we're saying yes, or if you don't already have a marker word, then this video is for you. It's pretty simple. And additionally, the reason you are feeding beside you is because you want to get the dog to come back to you every single time. This also prevents resource guarding. Sometimes when people are feeding to the dog right there with the stranger hovering over, this can make a dicey situation dicey. and it can cause resource guarding. So to make everyone safe, we make sure that the dog is going out and then coming right back to you in order to get the food. So now I want you to just delay your yes by like a millisecond. He's gonna target my hand. I'm gonna touch him underneath the chin for like a half a second.
Okay.
Then he'll say yes, then he'll return to you.
Okay. Yes.
Good. Don't forget to say touch.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, touch. Yes. Touch. Touch. Yes.
Good. See how he's pulling away before I had the opportunity to really shake him? That's what we're going for.
Okay. Touch. Okay, touch. Yes.
Okay.
Touch.
So, good. I'm glad you didn't say yes to that. That was really good. That was exactly what we
I
wanted.
tried to laugh at him like you're being fine.
Now you'll see in this video that Clyde is actually making a sort of circular motion where he's going out and coming right back in and going out and coming right back in and going out. And this circular motion is exactly what we're going for. And the reason is because it makes the disengage just as part of the behavior as the engage. A lot of times when you see people teaching this exercise to their dog, they really get the greeting down perfect, right? The dog goes up to the person and everything's going great, but then you can't get the dog away and things just start escalating in excitement. It starts off very controllable and the dog starts dancing more and more and more. And this is because the disengage is not part of the routine. It's really important that your dog understands that it's not just enough to go up to the person and get love. Then I need to return to mom or dad and get my reinforcement that way. The other thing to realize is that a lot of times when your dog is meeting a stranger, a good chunk of the time, particularly if you have an adult dog, it's really for the stranger's benefit. To be completely honest, most dogs couldn't care less whether or not strangers are petting them. Some dogs do, but a good chunk of them, they're like whatever about it. So you have to realize that the real reward, the real positive reinforcement element of this exercise is the return to you to get that juicy treat or that whatever reward that you're giving. And if you found that tip really helpful, make sure to hit the like button because it helps me in the YouTube algorithm. Now at this stage in the training process, you're probably using medium value treats, but as you start to raise the criteria in a second, I'm gonna show you how we make this harder. So as you start to make the challenge harder, make sure that you are feeding higher value too. And this is especially true once you start to take the behavior out into the real world with real people. Make sure that you are using higher value treats. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, low, medium, high value treats, and you're like, what is she talking about? Then this video is for you, and I do recommend you check that out. It's gonna tell you all about the treat scaling process.
Hi, touch. Yes.
So see how he's curving himself in and he's making this little banana?
Touch.
He's getting
Yes.
me
Oh
aside.
wow.
That's what we're going for too. We want that banana curve, how it's kind of making a big circle.
Okay.
That is precisely what we're going for.
Okay.
And the reason is because even though he's comfortable with me and straight on is acceptable because we have rapport.
Right.
If I was a complete stranger, him coming barreling at me nose first is a little rude.
Right.
We would want him to give us his side a little bit. That's
Okay.
more polite. Plus, giving his side means all four are on the floor.
And not jumping in their face.
Right.
Okay. Touch. Yes. Is that too long of a wait?
You're fine.
Okay. Touch. Yes. Go boy.
Start to delay the yes just a little bit more now.
Okay. Touch. Yes.
Good. That was a really good timing.
Okay. Touch. Okay, touch.
Okay, pause for a second.
Touch. Yes. Touch. Yes. Good boy.
Good. The next step to making this more difficult for your dog, once they're ready, is you'll see before I was pretty calm, I was pretty controllable, I wasn't making too much silliness. Now we can afford to make silly faces, maybe make a little noise, maybe pet him a little bit more. You do this by asking your guests to subtly increase their excitability. You do not want to have them go from like a level 1 excitement to a level 25 in 2.3 seconds. That's not gonna be helpful. You need to realize that you're asking your guests to start off with like a level 1, and then we're building to a level 2, and then we're gonna make it a little bit sillier. Now we're making it a little bit sillier. Now we're making it a little bit sillier. And let's say you get to a point where you ask your guests to start singing the ABCs to your dog. Well, maybe your dog starts jumping at that point. Maybe your dog starts getting a little bit too rowdy and their chain of going back to you falls apart. If that's the case, then you need to make sure that you are lowering the expectations, lowering your excitability. That will help your dog get right back on track. Now, at this point, you're still saying touch. You haven't started to transfer over to a real cue. But once you feel like your guest is at a pretty reasonable, excitable rate, and your dog is predicting that circular motion, and you're like, he is pretty consistently doing the right thing over and over and over again. Now we can start implementing the cue.
Go hello. Yes, good boy.
Personally, I usually say hello, but you can say go see your friend or go get love, whatever you want. The other part of this is that we're really making sure that that time that he's with your guest is not exceeding much more than 3 seconds. Now, you're not literally counting, that was my dog scratching his ear. You're not literally counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. You're not saying that out loud. But you are going to make sure that you are thinking of it in your head, but make sure that your dog has not had the opportunity to stay with that person for too long. The other reason this is important, apart from the fact that you get the disengage, apart from that, because consent is cool, guys, we want to make sure that your dog is okay with the person petting them in that manner. So think of this practically. Imagine that you are out at the plaza and you have a brand new stranger and everything's great, so you tell Fido to go say hello, and then once he's over saying hello, you find out and you realize, oh my gosh, this stranger does not know how to pet a dog, and he's scruffing up his face and he's making big ridiculous gestures, and like, it's just not okay. Well, you have the automatic disengage after the 3 seconds because that's already part of the chain. Now you can check in with your dog to see if they even want to go back into that person's arms again, right? We have that opportunity because your dog is back with you to check with them and be like, do they even want to go back into that person's arms and get more of that affection, or was that quite enough for them already? So the 3 seconds allows your dog to have the opportunity to decide for himself, I don't really like being touched that way, I'm not gonna go back up to you. Or, that was okay, I liked that, let's get more. And we do the exact same thing. I'm gonna start off really mild,
Okay.
and then we're gonna slowly build it more difficult, more difficult.
Okay.
But right now, say touch. If everything is going well, and we start to see him predict, and he's like, oh, I get this, we're doing this again,
Right.
then I might have you switch to the cue,
Okay, say hello.
if that's what you wanna say.
And then do we do low or high right now?
Let's do high for right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he knows he smells the hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. Touch. Touch. Hi. Touch. Yes. Oh, I would.
That's okay, that's okay.
Touch. 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 Touch.
Let's try it a little bit this way.
Hi. Touch. Yes.
Good. We'll make it easier on him.
Touch. Yes. Boy. Touch. Yes.
We're gonna do one more, I'll go for a break.
Touch. Yes. Good boy.
Let's go ahead and let him chill for a second.
Definitely harder for him out here.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point you have the cue pretty steady with your guest. They are understanding that circular rotation. Your guest is reasonably excitable. At this point, you are going to start changing the guest around. Now, you probably don't want to necessarily take this out to the world just yet, or maybe at least know where you're busy. You're probably going to start using someone that your dog has never met before, but you do know. Or maybe your dog just doesn't realize that they met the person before, and that way you can have a little bit more structure. The more you can generalize this across people, the more likely it's going to be applicable when you actually need it. But you can't necessarily think like, oh, I taught them this exercise in my backyard with, you know, his friend Susie from down the street, and he got it really great on Wednesday and it was memorized, so that means that tomorrow I can take him out to the movie theater plaza and have 500 people touch him. No, it doesn't work that way. You're gonna have to generalize it over and over and over again, probably in a lot of controlled environments, and you're making sure that his progress is getting quicker over time, so that he's realizing how this applies to multiple different contexts. Next, in addition to the 3-second game, I also teach something called the ABC game, and this is a game that keeps them really focusing on their impulse control, really focusing on that delayed gratification. It is the next tier to this, and so if you're interested in teaching your dog that game, that video is right here, and I recommend you go check that out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're interested in more dog training tips and dog training techniques, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.